All right, folks, what is good? What is good? What is good? This is episode 261 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller, and we're going to have some Georgia Southern talk today, as well as, obviously I'm going to touch on the college football playoff and the championship game. I'll touch on that a little bit as well. So not much going on in the world of the Falcons. I think AJ Terrell made the All-Pro team, which definitely was that was a no-brainer. But nevertheless, we'll get back into more Falcons stuff later on in the week. But today, I want to talk about some Georgia Southern stuff. Haven't talked about that this program in a while. The team has gotten together, had a spring. No, I say spring. They had their first meeting of the new football season. I guess the football season never ends, and they are got themselves together. Coach Helton had a meeting with them, had a little speech. It was on Twitter. Pretty cool to see, and there was a lot of familiar faces that I was surprised to see. And that's pretty interesting. But we're also going to talk about this quarterback, Kyle Vantrease, commits to Georgia Southern, and it looks like the shape of the quarterback situation as is taking fold. It's taking a life of its own to where we know what it is now, and we know where it look like we know where our quarterback situation is going to stand for now, and I guess it's a good thing. And we're going to discuss why it is, and we're just going to get into it to see where Georgia Southern's going to go forward with that. Like I said, welcome to the First and Frame Rate Show. I'm VF Baller. Over here we talk about Georgia Southern football. We also talk about Atlanta Falcons football. And today you can find this podcast on iTunes, Google. Well, you can still find it on Google, but it hasn't been updating like I wanted to. I've been having an issue with Google, but you can go on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify. It's one of the probably easiest places to go, or you can put it on your own podcast avenue for it to update based on whatever app you use. Also, if you're over here on YouTube, this is where you can see me actually do the podcast in video format. And if you're on any of those platforms, hit the like button. Give me a 5-star rating if you're on the podcast avenue of listening to this content. It'll be much appreciated. Let's go ahead and just get right into this. Before I get into the Georgia Southern stuff, let's talk about the college football playoff. I don't have a problem. I never did have a problem with the Georgia Bulldogs. The team itself. I grew up in South Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, and I've always been a fan of Georgia Southern. I mean, this was even before I was 10, 11 years old. I've been a fan of Georgia Southern for a long time. So I always was a fan. But I knew there was another team in Georgia that I like. For me, I live in Georgia. I try to root for all Georgia teams or whatever the case may be. But the thing about Georgia, the fan base, ever since Georgia Southern moved up to the FBS, and it's probably happened before then, but before Georgia Southern moved up to the FBS, it's just been a lot of bickering back and forth about our school. We're a JV team, we're this, we're that, we're winning fake championships, this, that, and the third. And it's got annoying to the point where I don't want to sit beside them and root for a team, even though I like the team. I just don't want to root for them. It's just, there's a few teams where fan bases like ruin the experience. Georgia's one of those teams. I mean, not one of the teams. That's one of those fan bases. I don't have nothing against the team per se. It's just that the fan base ruined the experience to the point where I'm like, all right, I don't, okay, they won. That's cool. I don't hate for that. I don't, hate their downfall. And I mean, it's not like I sit here like wanting them to lose, but I sit here and look at like every time over and over and over again, they get close and end up choking. And it's like, you guys, you pump your chest up like you're so high and mighty you can't win big games. Yeah, okay, Georgia Southern has a very prestigious history, and we're to be honest, we're very successful. And in some cases, arguably, we could look like we're more. We could put up a resume and say we're probably more successful than the Georgia Bulldogs. But that's debatable. But just the fact that they sit here and pump their chest and they always felt like they're the big brother and they get all this talent and they can't beat teams like Florida. They can't beat Alabama. They lose to Auburn. They lose all these wonky games that they should not lose. It was to the point where it's like, okay, this fan base is ridiculous. I can't stand them, but I do respect the team. And I've always respected the team. It's just that they can't get out of their own way. Well, last night they were able to do it. And they done it in a pretty good fashion. And I give them credit. They won the national title. And it's good to see that another team from the state of Georgia is winning championships. And that's at the end of the day, that's what it's really about, in my opinion. Because if you're playing out, if you're a team representing the state of Georgia, I want you to win. I want you to win. And like I said, I don't have any will against the Georgia Bulldogs. It's just that, like I said, the fan base themselves just make me not want to root for them. It's like, all right, okay, it's cool that they won, great that they won, but I don't even wear like any Georgia Bulldog stuff anymore. I don't think I wore any Georgia Bulldog stuff in probably about, Jesus Christ, probably about 10, maybe 10 years, if that. Yeah, I haven't worn any Georgia Bulldog stuff in a long time because it's just that I just don't feel, it just don't feel cool to wear it anymore. Just, I don't know. I'd rather wear, my Georgia Southern stuff anyway. So, with that being said, it's like, congrats. They got over the hump finally. They beat the Alabama. And I think that's another thing that's more, that to me, I feel like it's more important. Somebody beat Alabama. Because Jesus Christ, I get tired of watching Alabama, win all the time. Tired of watching them win. It's cool when you have a dynasty just as dominant. That's what it is. If you put in the work, you win you win every time because you put in the work. But after a while, it gets kind of boring, and it's good to see parity. I think it's one of the reasons why I like to see. I think it's one of the reasons why I would like to see an expansion of the playoffs, because in my opinion, and I know some people go crazy when they hear this, I feel like if you expand the playoffs, I think you'll get more parity. I think you'll get more teams. The talent will spread to other teams because they feel like they got a shot. And if the teams that feel like they got a shot, some of these players who are 5-star, 4-star, they won't try to go to one school, or just go to one school in hopes of winning a national championship in year 3 when they could probably win a national championship in year 1 because they're probably gonna be playing right away. So that's my take on that. So with that being said, congratulations. I don't have much else to say about that because I'm not really invested in the Bulldogs any longer. Like I said, growing up as a kid, if it didn't matter, if you were Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech, Georgia Bulldogs, hell, Valdosta State, and Savannah State. I wanted to see college watch. I wanted to see all y'all win. I wanted to see everybody win. And when it didn't matter. The Braves, Hawks. And then there was one time I was really into the Hawks until I think it was like 90, 91. I started rooting for the Bulls. And I was one of those bandwagon kids. I never, I knew of Jordan, but I didn't know Jordan was like as good until I saw that I think it was like the NBA Finals, 91 NBA Finals. And ever since then, I've just been rocking with the Bulls ever since. And I've been a Bulls fan, goodness, since 91. That's what, almost 30 years now? It's crazy. But nevertheless, I would like to see if the Hawks do win a national title. If the Hawks do win an NBA title, that'd be cool. Every team in the state of Georgia should, they need to be holding up a trophy of some kind, So that's always cool at the end of the day. But it's no big deal. I'm not sitting here, pom-pomming for the Bulldogs. It's nothing against them or anything. It's just I think the fan base, in my opinion, pretty much ruined that experience for me. So nevertheless, like I said, congrats. Let's go ahead and get into Georgia Southern talk. First and foremost, let me pull this up real quick. I go on Twitter and I notice that there are some people that were at that meeting. Was at that meeting, the Georgia Southern meeting, that I was actually surprised to see. I was like, wait a minute, some people are coming back to play again. So if you haven't seen it on Twitter, Just go to the Georgia Southern football Twitter handle, and you will see first and foremost, Todd Bradley Glenn is coming back to play. So that's great. Todd Bradley Glenn, he tore his bicep last at the beginning of the season last year. Didn't know if he was going to come back and play, but he's going to return and play. So that's awesome. So you're talking about another person in the linebacker corps that's already loaded. Like I said, I talked about Dylan Springer the episode ago, and you turn right back around and you get another guy with experience that can help, definitely can help the rest of these guys who are playing in the front seven, definitely. So with Todd Bradley Glenn coming back, that's going to be awesome to see him play. Also, I saw J.D. King. J.D. King is going to play for Georgia Southern again? Because I saw him in the pictures, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, like, if you look at this, I'm like, whoa, all right. So our running backs still going to be looking pretty nice. I mean, look, we already got, like I said, we already got Jalen White. I think Gerald Green is coming back. We just recruited another running back. A definitely speedster. Let's see. Let me see if I can come up with his name. Not Zaire Milton. That's not a running back. What is it? Is that his name? No, that's old. All right. Where is he? Oh, here he is. Amari Arnold. So we got Amari Arnold. We have Jalen White. We have what's his name? Gerald Green, and now we have J.D. King. So we have a pretty stacked running back. Pretty good stacked running back corp. So we're looking pretty good right now. But that was pretty much the standout to me. Recently, we also had a couple of other commits. Ben Anderson, long snapper, he committed a couple of days ago. Henry Bates is a kicker from Waycross, Georgia. He committed as well. He committed yesterday. So that is this is pretty neat. So now we have kind of solidified a little bit more of our special teams as well. And one of the big things that I noticed that I got on the screen right here, if you're watching on YouTube, Kyle Vantrease has committed to Georgia Southern as a transfer from Buffalo. Now we're going to talk about him real quick. Kyle Vantrease played at Buffalo all five seasons. He threw for almost 5,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and he was intercepted 13 times. Now, that's one thing I want him to tone down on, the interceptions, but I will say this, and I talked about this in the Discord. I feel that with the talent that we got a lot of receivers, and they're pretty young, but with guys like Derwin Burgess, and you have the other receivers that are coming in, like Jet Joshua Thompson, you have Marcus Sanders, who else is coming in as a receiver? I think we had a couple of other ones as well. But when you have guys like those two guys, and Derwin Burgess is always already going to be here, he's going to be able to complete some passes because those guys can get open. JJ McCaffrey's another one. You have a couple of tight ends that was committed. One came from Mercer, and another one that was I can't remember what he came from, but you had another tight end that was actually committed as well. Big guys. I'm talking about like guys like 6'5", 6'6". So he's going to have some targets. So with that being said, he's also a winner. In 2019, they won the Bahamas Bowl, and a year later they won the Camellia Bowl in 2020. In 2021, he didn't play. I think he missed the last 2 games of 2020 because he had an injury to his right arm. But overall, this guy's a winner. He can play some ball, and he has experience. And I think at this point, this is where we figure out that this is going to be our starter. This is last year eligibility. And he's coming to Georgia Southern to play. Now, with all the other quarterbacks that we have, the David Dallases, we have Zach Roseman, we have Cam Ransom. I think what this does it gives some form of leadership. Not only that, because I know the other guys are leaders as well. I think it gives them some form of leadership, and it gives them some experience, especially for Clay Helton, to get things started in a way where he can get the other guys, the younger guys, to learn the system a little bit better. You got a guy who's coming in who's already played, 5 years already in college football, coming in as a veteran. It's going to be easier for him to grasp things because he's already had all this experience. Like I said, he's played. I think he played like 32 games already in his career. So he's going to be It's going to be much easier for him to actually grasp on the things, whatever Coach Helton can bring to the table, or whatever the offensive coordinator brings. Maybe he's already familiar, not 100% sure. But with him being here, I think we know at this point who's going to be the starter, and we need to, and we should also figure out how things are going to play out as far as the offense. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all this moves and the way it goes with this quarterback in place. I already know that Coach Helton already said he wants to throw the ball more. A lot of people say that knows him, and me watching some of his tape back in USC, they like to throw the ball a lot. I would like to see them run the ball a good bit because we do have some very talented running backs. But if I'm at the point now, if you're going to be able to be aggressive, be good at it. If you're going to be able to throw the ball down the field, be good at it. I don't want any gunslingers out here throwing the ball around, throwing interceptions, or just throwing things in the air just because, throwing incompletions. I want us to be efficient. I want us to be potent. I want us to be that type of offense that can actually put up 40, 50 points. Yes, I said it, 40, 50 points. But with the talent that we have, I think we should be able to do so. So I'm much more willing and ready to see how this plays out. With Kyle Vantrease coming in, this is going to be a pretty good segue to whoever's going to be the quarterback going forward in 2023. Because once this is over, this season is over, you're going to have these guys learn a lot. They're going to get some experience. They're going to actually understand what Coach Helton wants, what he demands, and how he wants things to go under center. So it's going to be easy pickings for anybody who wants to learn. Anybody who wants to learn, they're going to be able to learn easily with this whole situation. And also, they have to be prepared. What if something happens and they have to go in the game and play? Don't want to risk. You don't want to put injury on anybody, but that's what happens in football. People get hurt, So what happened? Could Zach Roseman? Could Cam Ransom? Could Connor Segelski? Could David Dallas? Could any of them step up and play right away if something was to happen? But one thing about this is why you have practice, and I can't wait for that to happen because I'm gonna try my best to go to the practice. I went to a couple of practices last year, and it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch those guys come in and put in the work. I think practice may be a little bit different than it was last year because you got a new coach. It's going to be a little different. I like the way it was set up last year, but it may be a little different. But I can't wait to see that because I'm going to go and show up and actually see how that plays out because I'm really excited for what we have here, and maybe we're going to win some football games. On the defensive side, you got guys like Derek Canteen coming back. I've seen some of the kids come on campus now. Ashton Whitner is on campus now. I saw a couple of Chandler Strong is on campus. You got some of these kids out here now that look like they're ready to go. Like I said, they're ready to play, and I can't wait to see what they do. I cannot pronounce his name to save my life. Kai Teo, I think that's right. Teo, I would just say Teo. Nate Lewis is on campus now. You got some guys that are ready to go. Wembley's on campus. Zach Roseman, David Dallas, Chandler Strong. Like I said, I just named those guys. These guys are definitely it's going to be really cool to see. This is the beginning of a turnaround, and Georgia Southern is already started. What we had at the old guard with the way things were ran, is now definitely changed, and you see it. The personnel, the guys on the field, the guys that have been recruited, the guys that are the type of players that we're picking up. We're actually seeing a totally different outlook on what we've seen in years past, where we had a lot of athletes, and the athletes were very good, and the scheme that we ran was quite different from what we see now. I think the scheme now is going to be a lot different, because we got guys now that are more traditional football players. We got guys now that are more traditional in the scheme of trying to run a more traditional style offense, and it's going to be real interesting to see. So, Vantrease is pretty much a lock in for QB1, unless something really happens, which stranger things have happened. You see what happened with the Bulldogs. You thought JT Daniels was going to be the starter, and Stetson Bennett ended up being the starter, and they won them a national title. Yeah, would you look at that? Georgia wins the national title. But nevertheless, it's time for Georgia Southern to get back to work, and we're going to continue to talk about what these guys are going to do. So I can't wait to see how this all plays out. So it's going to be interesting to see. That's going to pretty much be it for this episode of the First and Frame Rate Show, talking Georgia Southern football and Atlanta Falcons football. Going to get into some more Atlanta Falcons stuff throughout the week, more Georgia Southern stuff throughout the week as things continue to progress. The Falcons should be getting ready to look into the draft, some free agencies, who's going to be let go, who's going to be added. A lot of those things are going to be looked into. Signing day is not complete for Georgia Southern, even though it's still mid-January. Signing day is pretty much next month, and with that being said, we're going to see how that plays out, and then we're going to start seeing some practicing. We're going to start seeing some spring games, like right before you know it. Football season is going to be starting all over again. So we'll see how all that plays out. So, all right, y'all. Thank you guys for listening once again. If you like this content, hit the like button. If you want to share this, share it. Let people know what I'm doing over here. Also, if you're on the podcast side of things, give me a high rating over there on the podcast side. And if you're on the YouTube side, subscribe to the channel. All right, y'all. I will see y'all guys on the next one. All right. Y'all be blessed. Peace.